can't even remember like who was playing. I've never heard of those teams before.
Okay, well, it was called like Uganda Super League, right? I'm pretty sure we didn't make that up because it was at your school. We were swimming in the pool.
Yeah.
And then at like the bar, they had this game on, and we were just watching it while we were drying off, sipping a soda or whatever. And the score was like 3-2, right? I feel like I'm remembering.
I think it was relatively even. There didn't seem to be a whole lot going on, but then wasn't there like a penalty relatively late? And I remember it being a shocking challenge. Like, it was awful.
Yeah, somebody just absolutely took somebody out, and then the game just like ended with like 5 minutes on the clock because I remember the clock ticking down and people are just walking onto the field. We saw like a security guard with his like AK-47 just like wandering around. They started playing with the football that was being used in the match.
And then like barely any time in, like the whole pitch is just swarmed. Like it's just
as the
people
clock
everywhere.
As the clock is continuing to wind down, and we're just like, what is going on here? It was just the most chaotic sports, just anything, and like on, I presume, national television. You know, like.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, no, it was bizarre. I've never seen anything quite like that, but it was just so entertaining because you'd never see anything like that here or in the UK unless there was, or in the US, or there'd be a lot more of a buzz about it. There didn't seem to be a reason. They were just like, yo, let's just. It was like the calmest pitch invasion you've ever seen. They were walking on, just having a great time.
Game's over now. Let's go. Yeah. Welcome back to the SpewnedIt Podcast. Welcome back to the SpewnedIt Podcast, you guys. I'm Jensen. This is my great friend Joel. Joel, how you doing this week?
Mate, I'm pretty good. I'm glad to be back. I'm hyped. Yeah, I'm ready to get into it today.
Fantastic. So, we're talking sports this week. We've been to some crazy events. Joel, what is one of the craziest sporting events you have attended in your lifetime?
I mean, thinking back on this, I was like, right, okay, well, a lot of them are sort of during my time in Uganda or Africa. The first one I want to bring to light, and I was incredibly blessed to be able to go to the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. One of the most insane trips I've ever been on in my entire life. Went with my dad, and then our landlady at the time, who was also an insane football fan, and then like a friend of hers. Like, it was great, just the four of us cruising about. Really, really great time. I saw like 2 or 3 games live as well, so that was huge. Sadly, I don't think I got to see England. I was relatively young at the time, but like I know I got to see Germany, got to see Japan. So like some crazy, crazy sporting events. But what made all of these so insane was the fact that the vuvuzelas were off the chain. I kid you not, every other person in the stadium, and so some of these stadiums are like, 60-odd thousand people, every other person had a vuvuzela. So whenever anything entertaining happened, everyone's just going off on these things. And the noise was insane. I think that was kind of like a baptism of fire for my ears at that point. Now, did you guys ever have a vuvuzela, gents, like in your house?
I think perhaps at one point we did, maybe during World Cup season. And for our American viewers, I wouldn't have even known the name of this thing. I just know what it sounds like. It's a horn. It's very long, and it's just it's a really long horn, and it just amplifies and has a very like kind of piercing cry to it. That's a little bit hard to explain. I'm sure you've heard them if you've ever watched international sports. I think they're banned in some stadiums though, like.
I'm pretty sure they are, because
more
they're
like
so
first world
loud.
countries, but in Africa they are so prevalent, and they're very, very hard to forget. But I remember you having one at your house. Did Silas ever? I feel like I remember him walking around.
I think at one point we had at least one. I don't know if we still have one. But like basically they are absolutely, they're just bizarre. Yeah. But they're so much fun to have around, and especially if you are like, I mean, not indoors. They're not fun indoors because they're too loud. But like when you're outdoors, just like with all your mates at like at a sporting event, they are so much fun. And yeah, that was one of the things that just really stuck out. And apart from that, I also like for some reason, like I remember walking past like a little DJ set that Fatboy Slim, the DJ was doing, and I remember walking past that. But basically, those two were like big highlights for me of the trip. And just these vuvuzelas just everywhere. And I loved them. Like, I am in love with them now. Like, they're just so, so brilliant. That's the first one that comes to mind. I know that's not very specific, but just the entire event as a whole was insane. And the electric atmosphere, I loved it, man. I loved it. What's one that comes to mind, or the first one that comes to your mind when I say, like, crazy sporting events?
Yeah, well, I was going to save this one for last, but since you got talking about the vuvuzelas, I have to talk about when I went and saw the Uganda national team versus Angola in
Wicked.
2013, I believe it was. And I just looked it up, and man, that game was the loudest thing I have ever been to. All of our ears were ringing for actual days afterwards because of it was packed stands. I mean, Matt, you can't even imagine. Well, you can, I suppose. You've been to the World Cup, but like, I can't imagine being in another place that had the like vocal impact that one did. And the game started out fairly slow. You know, I think the first score was Angola in like the 57th minute or something. Yeah. And it was 1-0. Then Uganda scored. The noise reaches like a new fever pitch, right? A new echelon. Then their best player gets a red card, which our friends there, I'm not super familiar with football, but our friends there told us was a little bit sketchy, and so it might have been a little bit of national influence on that one. He gets not carted off. He gets escorted off by these guards with riot shields. They're like holding him above so that he's not like getting hit by all these things that the fans are throwing. No. They were just throwing trash. They were throwing bottles. It was madness. No so he gets carted off. Then I'm gonna check the notes here. So that was in the 84th minute. He gets red carded. 89th minute, Uganda scores a second goal to take the lead. The noise reaches a new echelon that I didn't even think was possible. It was already loud. Then they scored. Then the red card. Then they score again, take the lead, and end up winning 2-1. And
incredible.
It was insane. People were like, it was a madhouse. It looked like, I don't know, The Purge or something. People had like burning newspapers just like thrown about. Like, it was actually dangerous. So easily the craziest sporting event I have ever been to. I don't think anything will ever top that. Uganda versus Angola 2013. Absolute
it's
madness.
Funny that it's funny that you should say the Mandela National Stadium, actually, you know, the name of the Uganda National Stadium. Because the second one on my list that comes to mind is when I watched Uganda play Kenya. So, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, just the Ugandan atmosphere is incredible in the stadium. It's around 45,000 people as well, so it's a decently sized stadium. And so, at that level, when it's packed on a sunny Ugandan afternoon, playing against Kenya, so this is like next door neighbor, absolute rivals. Honestly, it was insane. All I can remember is that it was a brilliant game because the Kenyans are very, very good at football. And so I think it was something like, I remember it being I remember the final score being 3-2. I can't remember if Uganda or Kenya won, but just an insane match. And you're there, and it's just the classic saying of, the atmosphere was electric, but you could quite literally like reach out and grab it at this point. Like, it was so loud, it was so potent, and it can be very scary. But if you get on board with it, and if you start shouting as well, then it's just such a good feeling. You feel like you're getting so involved in it as well. And I feel like I love that kind of thing. It's similar, I mean, we've spoken so many times on the podcast about live music and, some of our favorite events and artists that we've been to see. But there's just something else about being able to go to like a football stadium or an American football stadium, whatever it may be, and just get so involved. And yeah, I mean that's another big one for me. I've been to a few matches here in the UK. I've been to a few at Derby, our local like football ground just around the corner from mine, actually, which is wicked. But yeah, like honestly, there was just something else about the atmosphere in a football ground in Uganda, particularly. It was insane. It was insane. So yeah, I don't know. I do miss it. I'd love to, next time I go back. I'd love to watch another Uganda football game. I think that'd be ace. I think that'd be so sick.
Yeah, I've got like a couple more I have to talk about. One,
go on.
The college sports atmosphere. I don't know how. I assume perhaps similar in the UK, but
really not. Sorry,
not
like
at
yeah,
all?
just to say, like really
bummer.
not.
Okay.
Silas was telling me about this. My younger brother was telling me about this the other day in terms of basketball and American football. I believe like it just goes off. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt, gents. Go ahead because I really want to hear about it.
Well, I've learned something new today. Anyway, so Americans and their college sports, we go bananas. Like a lot of the college stadiums are larger than the professional ones. Like there's famously like 100,000 seat college football stadiums. The average NFL stadium is maybe like 60, 70K, something like that. Some bigger, some smaller. But the freshman year of college, 2016, our football team is very good, American football. And I've been to a couple games, but the way that the school system works is like some colleges start earlier than others. So you're playing games before like everyone's really started at my school, which started a little bit later because it was on a different system. So this is the first game where everybody's at school. So everybody's like there. We're all like living on campus. We're in classes. This is maybe the first or second week of like normal classes. I think it was the first week actually. Because I remember my chemistry professor like assigned us this huge chunk of homework for the weekend, and it's due Friday at 7 p.m. The game is Friday at like 8 p.m. and she didn't even know. We came back the next week and was like, "Oh, there was a football game." We're like, "Come on!" So anyway, I'm there like grinding my homework until like 5:30. I'm like 6. I'm like, nah, I'm not finishing this. I'm gonna go to the football game. This is stupid. I'm not
priorities, man.
I'm gonna remember this game a lot more than I remember what a covalent bond is in 10 years. Anyway, so we go to the game. We're ranked number 10 at this point, 10th in the nation, which is huge. We're facing off against number 7 Stanford. This Washington Huskies versus 7 Stanford, and Stanford at the time has Christian McCaffrey, which if you follow American football, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL currently. He's like set all these records. He's always hurt, but he's very talented. And they're extremely hyped. We've got this great defense and a few incredible offensive weapons. We go in there and it is just a beatdown, like the final score 44-6. Huskies win at home. Christian McCaffrey does absolutely nothing all game. It's just not even close, and the crowd is just loving it. We're going crazy. At the end, everybody storms the field. It was so awesome, and I will always remember that game and just the feeling of like, let's go, and we ended up having a great season that first year I was in college, and a couple more after, but that one really takes the cake. And then just this weekend I was at the Seahawks game, which is a big milestone for me, my first Seahawks game ever. I've been a fan all my life, and that stadium is known for being one of the loudest in all of sports. In 2011, when Marshawn Lynch had this crazy run, went for 69 yards, broke like 10 tackles, he actually the crowd noise started a small earthquake. They called that play the Beast Quake. So
seriously,
anyway,
what?
It was a little different. I think that the way the stadium is designed is all the noise kind of goes down onto the field. Like it's still loud in the stands, but you really feel it on the field. And we're famous for like not letting the other team, like when they're on offense, call their plays. So when I was there, they had like multiple delay of games, which is just because like the crowd is so loud that they can't hear the quarterback like hiking the ball or calling his plays.
Dope.
And it's
That's
so hyped because everyone's up, they're yelling, and then like you just see them like have to call the timeout or get a flag, and everyone's just like, yeah, because it's it's the fans that are actually impacting the game, which is such a cool feeling. You just feel like wicked. I'm doing my part, let's go. And it was awesome. We ended up winning 31-7 in that one, and it was such a blast. Went there with my family, so big shout out to them, and go Hawks. But sports, dude, man. It's nothing else like it, really.
Sports, man. I mean, you said it. We've never been to like a proper game before for anything, have we?
No.
Together, I don't think so.
I think
the only thing we may have would have been a Uganda one. But yeah. Okay. Well, we should both go to the Uganda football stadium. I think that would be ace.
Crazy.
But yeah. No, I mean, at some point we should also, I reckon we should chat about like the reason why the college just scene is so insane in the US because I find it just fascinating.
It's so
however,
funny. It's
it's bizarre.
We could talk about it.
However, for the moment, guys, I reckon that's all we've got time for today. Of course, please feel free, hit the subscribe button as well. We'd love to hear from you as well. If you've got any insane sports stories, we'd love to hear from you. So chuck them in the comments below. For the moment, though, from myself and from Jensen, lots of love, God bless, and we'll catch you next week.